1 month ago, I was placed in a medically induced coma. I was riding my bike through some nature trails when I ran over a root of one of the many trees. I took a pretty bad fall, hitting my head on a rock. I had such brain damage that I needed to be put in a coma so that I could heal. When I woke up, my wife, Chelsea, was the first to say,
"I told you should have worn a helmet."
Her eyes welling with happy tears. I sheepishly muttered out a "sorry" before turning to my doctor. He asked me how I was feeling, but before I could answer, I saw something. At first, I thought it was double vision. An identical copy of the doctor stood behind him. That copy began to change. It aged rapidly, shriveling and withering, until there was nothing but a darkened husk of a human form. My eyes darted between the husk and the doctor, not quite sure what I was seeing. I told him what I saw, pointing to the husk. He glanced behind him and chuckled slightly. He said I might still be a little loopy from the drugs. Any hallucinations should stop with time. The very next day, the nurses came to inform me that my doctor had unexpectedly passed away. The news shocked me greatly, and all I could think of was the withered husk his double had aged into. I wondered if the two events were related. They couldn't be, right? I asked the nurse if they knew how the doctor died. All she said was that the doctor had been getting up there in years. Was my hallucination a fast forward of him aging? The possibility floated around in my head. As I looked up at the nurse, I noticed a double began to form behind her, just like the doctor. I watched as the double began to cough and double over in pain. The double began to grow sicker and sicker until finally dropping to the floor, completely still. I looked at the nurse herself. She appears quite healthy. Why was I hallucinating her getting sick and dying? She noticed my odd expression and asked if I was still seeing things. I said yes, and it's similar to the doctor's. I explained how she had gained a double like the doctor, but instead of aging into a husk, she had gotten very sick and died. She assured me that the hospital staff takes great precautions when it comes to illnesses. She wasn't getting sick anytime soon. I warned her to be careful anyway, and she promised that she would. The next day, I was informed that the nurse had passed away from some unknown illness. It can't be a coincidence, can it? Ever since I woke up from this coma, I've been seeing these copies of the people around me dying. Eventually, I refused to look at anyone. I couldn't bear to watch it at all. I would just shut my eyes whenever somebody came to speak with me. And then nothing happened. For the next week, I wasn't informed of any more deaths. I began to peek a bit, still seeing the grisly deaths of the hospital staff, but that was all. I began to wonder if I, myself, had a part to play in all this. Was it because I told the doctor and nurse about their doubles? If so, then I have their blood on my hands. I could use this to initiate the death of anyone around me. I could kill people. Over the next couple of days, I've managed to piece together how this new power works. The doubles floating behind people are glimpses of their future selves, and whatever happens to those doubles is how that person will die. If I do nothing, then theoretically, that death should happen whenever it's supposed to happen. If I tell the person about their death, then that death will happen the next day. After the incidents with the nurse and doctor, I've been very careful with my words, especially around Chelsea. She's been so good to me during this time. I don't want her to think I'm crazy, or worse, accidentally tell her about her death. I've been trying to think of more productive ways to use this power. I thought maybe I could use this to kill off criminals, murderers, rapists, the worst of the worst. But that would mean I'd actually have to get close enough to talk to said criminals. Not an easy thing to do. I've got to put this to use somehow. How awful. She's just trying to do her job, and he's being so aggressive for no reason. Ha! Now there's a bit of karma. Should I tell him? It would be so vindicating for both the staff and myself. Oh yeah, I'm telling him. Hey man, you shouldn't get so angry like that. If you keep getting heated, you'll burn to death.
White town with a population of 15,000, where everybody knew each other and lived in tranquility.
Good riddance.
That was
Wait,
until March
is it a
12th,
good riddance though?
1999.
Did that guy really deserve such a death just for having anger issues? I mean, that death didn't have to happen right away. Karma would have caught up with him eventually. Was that really the right thing to do? But God, it felt so good. Like I just had to tell him. Now, there's one less angry person in the world. So what? Just because I can't get to criminals doesn't mean there isn't still human scum walking the earth. I can use this to help speed things along. I'll make this world a cleaner place. It's been a few weeks since I got my power, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't addicted to it. The feeling of knowing someone's death and having the power to initiate it whenever you choose, it's become intoxicating to me. My neighbor had the audacity to hit his wife in front of their window, right where I could see. Men like him truly disgust me. You may have attacked your wife, but soon it'll be your heart that's attacked. Piss off, Brandon. Walking home from the store one day, I caught a glimpse of a man selling drugs to some teenagers in a nearby alley. How dare he prey on the young and impressionable members of our society? What garbage. This is just the death he deserves. Hey man, keep selling that junk to kids and you'll have the life beaten out of you. You a cop? No. Then mind your business.
Breaking news.
I finally got the courage to go biking again for the first time since my coma. I worked up quite a sweat and stopped to take a drink of water. The lady biking in front of me had the same idea. However, when she finished her water bottle, she just tossed it into the woods before biking off again. How could she mess up our beautiful paths through nature? Trash makes trash, I suppose. Looks like the local wildlife agrees with my judgment. You know, you're gonna piss off the bears if you keep littering like that. They just might maul you to death.
It's just a water bottle, dude. Chill. Weirdo.
That was fast. Some may think these judgments against these people are harsh, but I disagree. Can you really call them people based on their actions? They're nothing but filth. Wouldn't you rather clean it up now instead of waiting and letting it build up and fester? I wouldn't. I walked through the front door and went to greet Chelsea in the bedroom. When I turned on the light, I saw her in bed with another man on top of her. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. Their shocked faces mirrored my own. Chelsea got up and threw herself on me, crying hysterically. She alternated between,
I'm sorry. You just became a different person after your coma.
anger, hurt, disgust. All these emotions came out at once. I had to tell her. I've avoided looking at her double all this time, just so I wouldn't be tempted to say anything. But that doesn't matter anymore. I looked at Chelsea's double for the first time. Tears began streaming down my face, and I couldn't help but laugh. I laughed and laughed as Chelsea and the other man stared wide-eyed. I calmed myself down enough and pointed to Chelsea. I hope he was worth it, Chelsea, 'cause he's going to stab you to death, you bitch. Can't believe it. She's just like the rest. Filth. And, well, I've already devoted myself to cleaning it up, haven't I? It's what they all deserve.